Hey everybody, this is Rydo and we are back to Castle Crashers. Let's continue. So we're out here at the blacksmith, I guess is what it's labeled. Feels like the blacksmith should probably be a fast travel location, because as we're getting further and further down this map, and we're moving fairly quickly down the map, it's going to be kind of ridiculous to have to walk all the way back. Let's see, I guess if you hit X it jumps you back, so they did make that general idea, but then you have to walk all the way through the map just to remember, just to see what you've done. This map is not very well suited specifically for replayability. Yeah, I don't see a real reason why you'd want to come back and play the specific levels again. So we had to beat a giant cat in a lake, and we had to figure out a strategy for that. Now we are fighting bears with handprints on them, which this was the guy that was riding the giant cat, which we definitely have gone somewhere. We're no longer just fighting kind of cutesy animated medieval knights. There is something about the name that's ridiculous. Wow, I am doing like 100 damage on these guys. Castle Crashers is not accurate a description, because we're not really crashing other people's castles so much. At least we haven't seen that so far. I guess maybe I wasn't doing 100, maybe I was misreading it. I feel like if I was doing 100 damage, then these guys would be dying in one hit a lot more. And as we get more abilities, there's something nice about this. Here we can see this guy is doing a rain dance, and we have locked in this boss fight, which we are really quick to enter. Alright, so there's one guy here we wanna focus on. And my lightning ability does not seem to do extra damage in the rain, which one would have thought maybe that would have happened. Yeah, I can't really blame them for using the rhyming alliterative Castle Crashers. It's not a bad name, but it is inaccurate. If anything, that titles the game and the group, and possibly even caused this game to never really have a sequel, which it feels like, as much as Behemoth tried to promote this as a continued series, you would think this would be something akin to like the Angry Birds series or something. It just didn't go anywhere like that. But you would think at least there would be a sequel here. But how can there really be a sequel when Castle Crashers 2 would have to be just somebody else crash the castle again? And there I just got pounded. I don't think speed is as big a deal. I feel like there should be a reroll that happens, and I have no idea what this guy does. So for all we know, our pet character does actually cause us to do like more damage but take more damage. That would be a pretty balanced modifier for an RPG early on in the game, although a lot of modifiers, items, amulets, things like this, in this case they're pets. When you get to the actual to the actual mid game and late game, you're usually then getting items that only improve and don't have any down negative effects, or you'll run into one item that severely improves something with the cost of negative effect. But usually those are one-off joke items and not to be seriously used by most players. Something that would turn you into like a glass cannon like character. Probably pretty obvious too, I'm not super warmed up. And I guess I can see now why they didn't want to have the game have 20 enemies attack you before you get to the first like sub-boss, because it really would be more grindiness. That being said, you put yourself in a dangerous situation with this, because it is totally possible that some player may just have trouble with a small group of things. Here we have a guy that's working on a catapult. I think we get in a catapult later on in the game. So yeah, if I was just having difficulty with the sub-boss, or if I was having difficulty with the first group of enemies, it's gonna be fairly frustrating to have to take those guys out. This might be a situation though that the sub-boss actually didn't respawn, because I'm seeing these guys glow, but I'm not seeing them. I'm not seeing the main guy. So either we're gonna fight the main guy in the next fight, or he just doesn't come back. Which then really makes it like a weird situation if we rerun a level. Because levels then could be almost completely empty and only existing on the map for you to go back and maybe find a pet or something that is a collectible. It feels to me also like these guys are gaining the levels about as much as I am. So instead of at the end of the game me potentially being able to do 100 damage in one hit, I think I might only be able to do 2 or 3 times the amount of damage I'm doing right now. Right. Alright, we need to see what we can do. Let's go ahead and try a bomb. That bomb was useless. I don't know if you can deflect or in any other way block the tornado. I would assume probably not. Alright. I'm gonna let one more thing hit me, and then I'm gonna kind of call it and use the health potion. So we are in this dangerous position where the difficulty of this game is 100% reliant on how good of a player you are and how well you can balance out your health. If you can't balance out the health, then you're the health refills, the health potions, then you're gonna be kind of dead in the water regardless, because these boss fights still go on too long. And I guess if you finish the first side quest, then you've probably done enough to level yourself up again. But I can't help but kind of assume that you will You'll eventually run out of the... Here we got another flying guy. So these guys seem to be incapable of being fought. So the guy with the sign on his back, I guess he's our main target. And we can see the magic would potentially be better. Well, the guy who had the sign on his back, though, didn't kill this guy when he disappeared. We still have a decent amount of money, but probably not as much as I'd like. So here's a point that's specifically designed to not let you pass unless you've figured out how to block. So I assume we're going to run into a boss fight after this that is going to require some blocking. I feel like the buttons that I have right now are going to eventually evolve into doing something a little bit more than what we have. And at some point we'll just be able to hit X and hold it and spin and spin and spin and spin, and A and double A would, I think, potentially allow us to spin and spin and spin and spin. Okay, this is weird because it is kind of vibrating, but it's not really showing any damage. And why would I be able to hit this and access this section at all? So does this rock have some like major defense where even though I am hitting it and doing damage to it, it is not enough? Because you would think there'd be some indicator, something to show you that we can get into that area later. And we can't go any further to the right. So we're climbing up the wall. And here's like a cat statue. And there we have one major boss and another major boss. And notice how I can just, when there's two people on the field, I can really just take everybody out and fly and not have to really have much of a strategy. I think it's kind of dumb that when we're in a new level, it's showing my name and then brackets 1, which I can only assume is a indicator of the first controller. That's kind of dumb in single player mode, and it really goes to show how this game was designed for multiplayer first and foremost. And that is a kind of consistent problem with games, particularly for this era, but even now. It's a lot of games as services. Games have to have multiplayer. We have to have the players playing with each other because the game creators can't even really actually make a game. So there's no content there. That's a growing problem. Certainly, is that there's very little to happen. The Division 1 and 2, I think, is kind of a great example of that. The entire concept of the Division is that it's player versus player. Overwatch, things like that, where it literally is just player versus player and there actually isn't any story or game. Otherwise, it obviously is an instance of that. These guys are flying away, and now we have a big bat that's gonna try and poop on us and then lick us up. Now this guy is not doing anywhere as much trouble as the cat, but there is a problem here, because here's where my management of hitting the poo does not give you any new health either. I was hoping that maybe there'd be an apple in one of those or something. So we have to be very careful here about using the last thing. How about this? Maybe we can bomb this guy and do some major damage because of that. Yeah, let's just bomb him. That killed him. Good. And actually I have 3 potions, so I'm perfectly fine. So that just moved us. That gave us a great opportunity to cheat our way through this boss fight without having to risk running out of health. And frankly, we would have been fine otherwise. So, thinking about how this game would really play if you had, say, a parent or someone who had played the game all the way through, like, and then they have a kid, and they come back and have the kid play as a second player character who's level 1, but the parent's playing their original character who could very possibly be level 50, level 100. Like, it seems crazy. And we defeated that guy, and we got a nice little vampire bat ability. Can we walk this way? Yes, we can, but the guys don't follow us. So did I just lose my military helpers that were going to follow me and help me? Oh, man. Don't tell me I'm going to have to fight that whole fight again. Oh. Well, that would have been some terrible design. Remember, also, no telling how 4 players going through a door works. You have either a worst case scenario where any character can go through a door backwards in the wrong direction, like I just did, or all 4 characters have to go through every door. And if that's the case, then that would be a problem also, because it's gonna be rather frustrating to have to get a group of 4 players to all agree to go through an opening at the same time. I suppose by doing this we are grinding a little bit, and that's getting us leveled up, but I'm not sure if that's not just how this game is always going to be, where we have challenges and pains. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if we're just if the game is just programmed to take whatever level you are at and have the enemies be a couple levels above that. Thus, you always run into a challenge, and thus you never get that level that you would like to have, which is this is dumb. I totally screwed myself. Alright. Alright. See, when you're behind this guy, and you are kind of behind the guy a lot, it's hard to hit him. think we're kind of fine. Like, it does seem like you can just take the hit and when he's on the ground, just attack with your heavy hitter attack. Take another health potion. I would say the visual poop humor is not quite as much as I would like it to be. In the sense that I think the game is kind of bad about how it's just repeating the same visual humor over and over again. Like that was funny in the forest when the deer was being rocket propelled by poop. It stopped being funny fairly quickly after that. And let's see, we have an industrial castle and a flowery field. So we did this cave, and let's go to the industrial castle and see what's here. We have a wanted level 5. Oh, no, it doesn't say level there. People are wanted for 5,000 G. And here we have a guy. You aren't beefy enough to break down this door. So we need something really strong to break down this industrial castle, which the idea of an industrial castle does open up a new idea of how we're getting out of the fantasy world, and we're going to start going in different directions. Chomps enemies' heads. What that guy does. Retrieves hidden fruits from the trees. You already knew what that guy does. Let's see what this guy does. It's just not a good dash. You have to double. Ramming knocks down the enemies, which might be the best option. I know what he does, and I think that pretty much means we can't do anything else. We've very well potentially found all of the animals. And then weapons wise, we haven't made a ton of progress as far as weapons. I don't think we've even found one new weapon. They seem like they're probably going to be hidden behind other elements, like cave doors. Am I buying a bunch of them? You have to kind of toggle your... You have to toggle your swinging. And then the thieves store. I guess I could have come over to the thieves store, and that would have saved me some frustration. I'll only get 8. That just in case we pick up bombs somewhere in the map. And over here we'll double check. Nope, that doesn't work. It could have been that the bomb would have been the thing that would have broken the cave also, so that's another thing we should see if we run into another cave, and if that can be solved that way. Yeah, you have a weird situation here where the game kind of continues to push you in this different direction. Like, you are in this I guess I'd say Westworld style fantasy castle, and as you move further and further, you're getting into weirder and weirder offshoots of fantastic stories that don't really connect at all. Now, I don't know what attack you would really use on these bees, but there is clearly a system that is trying to be implemented here. It may not be doing a particularly great job of it, but clearly they don't want you to allow your other fellow soldiers to die, which that's nice, because so often in games you either don't act as a soldier, you're a rogue, or you're as a soldier but all of your companions have already died, or you just don't care about them and you just let them be slaughtered. Alright, so now we want a full power for an achievement to launch ourselves, and I can't jump off the edge this way, and then now it seems like we are in a rather different looking castle, very lightsabery, black metal looking, kind of like a reference to Star Wars, almost certainly. Except for they have pointy heads. And then in the background, the buildings are getting slightly destroyed. There's a foreground issue, certainly with this, where it's kind of hard to see your feet. And that could be a problem, but it doesn't seem like it really is going to be. It's fairly obvious what I want is a magic attack, particularly in this, where this is just a very flat 2D, a very, very flat 2D platform. You can move forward and backward about 5 inches. that would be it. So if I could just do this on all of them, which I very well could have done that and done more damage, that would have been great. Let's just make sure there's nothing back this way. There's a certain, I think, level of secrets in this game that's a little lacking. I feel like you probably should have slightly more collectibles, slightly more secrets. But we kind of also are just having a slightly abridged experience. When you compare this hack and slash RPG to, say, a JRPG game with a real-time battle system, and not instead of like a turn-based battle system, probably most of those would be 200 hours long, and this is really just going for 10 at most, or 40 if you want to play as each character. Here we have the Green Queen, wasn't she? She was in the green dress. The Green Princess is, I think, but now she's in a white dress, a white wedding dress, and she's being forced to get married to the guy. I mean, they could have saved me some embarrassment by putting her in a black dress, but then that really wouldn't work, and it'd look too much like a funeral dress setup. And so I definitely don't want to refer to her as the Black Queen, just because her skin is a paler, a darker complexion. I think there probably was an achievement for destroying this wedding. Like, this is a game called Castle Crashers. Wedding crashing makes a lot of sense. So let's see if we can find what can be broken and what can't. And I'm hitting one chair on the backswing, but then this other chair is giving me trouble. And it just gave me 50 health, but seeing the number of 50 health actually doesn't help much, because I don't know how much health in total I have. Is that something we can even see? Like, is that under information? Weapon stats? No. Let me see if we can move the mouse out of the way. Sometimes these the mice just go everywhere. Do the animals actually go up in level? I don't think they do. It'd be kind of nice if they leveled up. That would be another gameplay mechanic in a game that probably would do better if it did have more gameplay mechanics. So perhaps this is a area designed to show you how much health you get recovered by each item. I don't know why different foods would need to really recover different amounts of health, though. And I kind of question, is it the best use of an animator to have them draw 5 different types of food when you could have said, hey, let's just stick with the chicken as food and that be our only food in the game, and then we can have several other types of enemies with different outfits, even if they don't do anything differently. 251 is what that just said. Is that my health? There's an odd little shadow up there. I was gonna try and break the window, and someone else broke it for me. You really do need your magic turned up to 11 as quickly as possible. I can't break the window. Because the 7 damage consistently for a few seconds is not cutting it. I'm trying to see if I can inch my way down. So that I could actually hit these. I guess they're supposed to be seats and benches. They frankly look like they might be closer to kneelers from like a Catholic church that you would kneel on. So he's got a whole bunch of cannons that he's gonna try and hit me with, I think. And he sets a whole bunch of targets. And he got a full attack off before I even managed to start doing some damage to him. But it kind of doesn't feel like it's a big problem. And it looks to me like I've managed to destroy his everything. I definitely don't like this bat because it is not doing anything useful. It is being very useless. Right, there goes that. And I don't think we really need to take him on anymore. Yeah. So somebody might come and kidnap the green princess again, or we'll just save her and get a kiss. And I guess maybe getting a kiss from all of the princesses might be doable in single player. But there definitely are at least 2 achievements that are not doable in single player. So you're not gonna get them all. She's punching the air and all happy. So now we've got this big guy crying, and he just runs up there and kidnaps her again. And he shoots himself out. Alright. Where am I? I took damage for falling off the edge. Can we hit people when they're over in that general direction? Maybe? I don't think so. I don't think that's gonna work. So we are now just doing another sequence where I think we're just supposed to fight people. Like, it kind of doesn't feel like we can hit this guy. Yeah. Yeah. It seems like what we're doing is we're flying through an area that specifically is designed around the idea of Alright, we need some potion. We're about to die. So we're being chased. We need to take this guy out quickly. And we have to kind of attack before he attacks. How do you play this with 4 people though? Like, seriously. That's gonna be insanity. 4 of these guys. 4 people all having to struggle to be on this ground. And really, one of them can take out the boss. I suppose if there was 2 or 3 players here. But like, I guess one person could focus on the boss, or 2 or 3 people could focus on the boss. And it's kind of hard to even find the right thing. Yeah, each one of those is giving me 50 health. At least, so fruit seems to be fairly consistent. And if these guys just stay on the ground, I can just continuously stomp on them for 11 damage. Does that work? Maybe a little bit. I kind of like how quickly we're leveling up. And since there's just no side quest here, all your leveling is literally through fighting people, which is kind of nice because a lot of games do make it seem like there's just kind of a major focus on playing the game differently. No, you don't. There's always seemingly enough of those guys. Probably a little too many Star Wars references in 2020 with the 3rd trilogy completed now. Star Wars is not in its highest regard. And even when this was coming out, I imagine the prequels existed. Maybe people weren't still upset about them so much. Like, but yeah, it's too many references. They could have done some Lord of the Rings references. They could have thrown in some Dungeons and Dragons references. There's other things, certainly. You could throw in some Doctor Who. Doctor Who's been around for decades. So maybe some people wouldn't recognize that, but just seeing references to Star Wars at the moment makes the whole game feel like it was made by or animated by some incredible Star Wars nerd that didn't know about anything else. And I guess there might be an argument that at some point there was more separation amongst the nerds, and being a nerd of one thing didn't usually imply that you were a nerd of many other things. But that's this really does feel like the creator is just letting his nerdom flag fly instead of trying to be approachable and recognizable as a wink and a nod to the players of the game. And these slimes, I suppose you could argue, are a reference to Dragon Quest, but even now I don't know too many people in the West that would immediately go, oh yeah, all slimes in all games are actually from Dragon Quest, the JRPG series. If anything, there's a higher likelihood that people would just assume that slimes are references to the slimes in Minecraft. So a lot of these guys, and I'm having a hard time. I guess I need to just start using the X button instead of the Y button, because there's too many people around here. These little werewolf creatures seem very determined to rip me off. Now, does this game stop you from drinking a from using health if you are full of health? I guess we need to go into a store with some damage and see if that's the case. It would seem like it might be a nice idea if these pets got really big and had some kind of ultimate form and ultimate attack, but I don't think they do. And so now we're kind of in this volcano, and we'll want to be careful not to burn ourselves, or not be careful about that at all. They timed that absolutely perfectly so you couldn't get through it easily. Okay. That was breakable. It's a little odd we haven't found any more pets. The way the art is depicted and the damage is depicted is a little wrong, I would say. I think had they made the numbers move faster or fade out or not overlap so much, have like a delay pop up so you potentially kill an enemy and damage is still appearing over their head for like a ridiculous amount of time afterwards, that might be helpful. So now we have a new combo, XXY, XXY, XY, Y. Well, either I'm pulling off X, X, Y fairly easily, or I'm not accomplishing it at all. Is it really worth my effort to try and break every piece of furniture in this level? Which, honestly, we may be 2 or 3 levels in. The way they break up the levels kind of doesn't make sense either. It feeds into this gameplay loop that, frankly, even for its time, is a little too addictive, and might be the reason why I felt like this game was kind of long, is because you just don't get any falling action, which is just terrible game design. There should be a point after about 30 minutes where you're doing something slightly different, because that's when the human brain shifts from right brain activity to left brain activity, or vice versa. So after about 30 minutes, a person's ready to do a different kind of activity, and that doesn't inherently mean that all games should do 30 minutes of action and then 30 minutes of logic puzzles, but it does mean that after about 30 minutes of doing a level, it might be nice to slow down the action, have enemies not show up so much, have some collectibles in the world, have them at least have the opportunity to take a breath and look around the world. We get none of that. We get a game that pushes us forward. It's a lot of design here is design that would have been in the Ninja Turtles arcade game, for the reason that the Ninja Turtles arcade game was doing its absolute best to have people plug in more and more quarters as fast as possible and be done with the game as fast as possible so that the next kid could play it. Because remember, in an arcade, even with a 4-player cabinet, 4 kids at most can play that game until you have to, and so that means it's less likely that somebody would wait and wait several hours or wait several turns. Lines forming at the back of arcade games rarely happened. So you see like the rush sign that says go to the right, keep moving to the right. You'll see instances of games like Golden Axe where your health is literally going down every second and you have to put more quarters in it. You'll see instances of unfair programming where they're specifically designed, the games are specifically designed to deal damage on you that you cannot avoid or dodge, or deal damage on you that for unfair reasons. So while you can take the spirit of an idea of something like the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles arcade game, you have to modernize it for a game that was always going to be on PC or console, was not going to have the limitation of trying to get the kids to spend as little time actually as possible while spending the most amount of money. Yeah, I think we are just maxing out the defense. Alright. Here we have a church store we haven't been into. We can break everything here. Shoplifters will be persecuted. Authentic holy stuff. Authentic holy stuff. Thank you for the donation. Blessed by the fine merchandise. Can't make a donation. Persecuted is what he said. That's what I thought. So not prosecuted, but persecuted. Okay. So right now I have full health. Can I use another health thing? No. Good. That is good to know. And I can't afford any more. We also have another weapon over here. And here we have Monkey Face to increase your luck on finding items. And I think he would be what we're going to try and save up for. 325 plus 210. That's quite a lot of money. But that is our next goal. And as it is, we either take on the Cyclops Fortress a second time, and we'll try and rush through it, or we end the recording here. Getting more food's useless. So we'll go ahead and take this guy. Yeah, he knocks down enemies. And then item-wise, it definitely seems like we've missed maybe one here, and almost certainly missed one here, and then several here. Or maybe these are going under different categories. This does speed times 2. This does magic times 2, defense minus 2, which I don't know if that's really what I want to equip. And then over this direction, we still see nothing. There are definitely some RPG elements missing from this game. Like, the idea that I think I would like to see is that you could pick up these items and then pay maybe a small fee to upgrade all the other items to the highest stats of the most powerful item you've found. That way all these visual appearances don't inherently mean you have to play with inferior weapons. So effectively I'd like the weapons to just be skins, and the technology underlying the skins be the only thing that gets upgraded. And then we are RPG increasing our strength and defense and magic and speed, but we aren't getting any armor because they're committed to having the Castle Crasher characters look like the Castle Crasher characters, which that definitely shows why they needed to have so many varied visual looking weapons, because yeah, the Castle Crashers are not going to change. And then we're at level 16, and level 16 really only does a little bit more damage than level 1. And once I've got this to the maximum defense, there's kind of nothing I can improve beyond that point, unless this prestiges, and then I can just throw in more points. There's also a weird number of pips we've gotten, because if we have gone to level 16, you would have thought I would have only gotten 16 pips. Well, take a look here. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 magic pips. Assuming the pips are all the same size, that means there's at least 5 here, probably 7 or 8, and there's definitely 5 here, if not closer to 20. So, and then another 2 here, so that's closer to about 30 pips per level. So you're getting like 2 at least every time, and that seems weird. And then the mouse does just go back to where it is. Let's see. Castle Crashers goes up to level 70. I'm level 16 with 5,270 experience, which puts me at rank, let's see, how's that? 20 million? Let's see. Yeah, 2 million. I'm at rank 2 million. there seems to be a way that you can go all the way to level 99, and then each of these experience levels seems to be a 64-bit integer maximum, maybe an assigned 64-bit integer, 2 to the power of 64, I would guess. So I wouldn't be surprised if these also all cheated, or if people actually did just get that far because they really, really love this game. Although, it's kind of hard to see why people would love this game that much. Then here you can see at level 35 you have somebody who's claiming to be level 1, yet they have the maximum integer. And leaderboards like these can be quite a hassle for game developers to still maintain, so yeah. They're not that costly to actually maintain, but they are potentially a hassle because of the lack of actual security built into any of them. Well, that's where I think I want to end it. Either that or we would just go another 15 minutes over. So, as always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. If you want a friend or follow me on any social media sites, there's a whole bunch of links down below. And if you want to support me further, there's a link to Patreon, or you can friend me on Steam and get me a game off my wishlist. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.